Okay, so in this video, what I was wanting to do is to walk you through some of the study items and other sorts of aids that I have made in order to be able to help you to do well at the convention. And most of you, if not all, have already at this point either already been enrolled or have been invited to be enrolled to a course on Canvas called Study Guides for Convention et al. And as per usual, just from watching this, and it's not going to be that long, hopefully about 10 minutes or less, you are going to have those embedded items that, again, I will reward you with an easy and free 100 just simply by watching it. So, first and foremost, let's take a look at the facts. And note that there are 4 areas in which you can compete. Graphic arts, which is right here, which is going to be various kinds of artwork, painting, sculpture, handicrafts, all the sort of things like that. And so if you're interested to read the facts and look to see if there's anything that you want to make, those items you usually make ahead of time and bring with you to the convention. You register them, and then they're kept in this big display room that students and others at the convention come and look at them all weekend long, and then at the very end of the convention they announce the winners from the judges who have come in and judged all of them in various different contests. The other one is, of course, that I'm not going to talk about outside of just pointing it out, is the Olympica in Ludi. For Olympica in Ludi, essentially, these are things like the dashes, the 50-yard dash, 100-yard dash, softball throw, things like that. You simply just show up to where the event is taking place and you say, I'd like to participate, and then you compete. So there's no registering for that ahead of time. For the Ludi, that usually is team activities like basketball, ultimate frisbee, and again, we'll be dealing with that the week that we come back from spring break. But the two that I want to talk about that you can prepare for is going to be one, creative arts. So I'm going to click right here on the facts for creative arts, if that will work. Hopefully it will take us to the spot. And you can see they have a dramatic interpretation. I'll come back to it. Latin oratory. They have English oratory, which is an English speech you write. The other two is a Latin speech that you can obviously memorize and then deliver. Latin composition, if you want to do, you do that on site, and so therefore there's no registration ahead of time. You make a costume in the costume contest and wear it at the actual contest, an essay contest, and so forth and so on. But I wanted to point out how you can, if you wish, participate in the dramatic interpretation. You click on here and it will take you to the various different spots of the dramatic interpretation passages, and they are, of course, listed by what level of Latin you are at. And so therefore they have level 1/2 and 1, that would be Latin 1, Latin 2, and then for advanced that you have here. So let's go and get rid of this and go back to my item that is the passage, or I should say the Canvas page that I have. And that's the first thing, unit -1, which is dramatic interpretation and oratory. I have here a bunch of links, and what these links are is that you have here the actual passages themselves. Oh, I don't want to do that, I'm trying to move it, but oh well. You have the actual passages themselves, so dramatic interpretation and oratory. And so let's say that you're a Latin 1 student and you're wanting to do a dramatic interpretation. Well, you have a choice, and the choices are either passage 1 or passage 2. The difference is that in one of the passages, the speaker is going to be a traditional masculine speaker, and in the other is going to be a traditional feminine speaker. And so it doesn't matter whether you are masculine or feminine or whatever you wish to be, you can just choose either one and you can compete in that. And when you look at the passage, and so let's just go ahead and look at this first one, which is the gift of fire. As you can see, that's how long it is, and all you have to do is to memorize it and then deliver it. And in doing so, as long as you do it well, your pronunciation is good, you are showing the dramatic interpretation of the passage, then you will have an opportunity to do well. So in hopes that you would obviously be encouraged, what I've done here is that all of these items are essentially a video of me delivering the passage. And so you can see we have the 2 oratory passages for level 1 and 2, and then the dramatic interpretation, passage 1 and passage 2 for all the various different ones. And if you want, you can obviously watch and or listen to me over and over again, helping you memorize it and helping you pronounce the words and deliver it with the phrasing that I have that would be able to be of great help to you. And so therefore, if you're interested in those, I have made a tremendous amount of help for you so that you can obviously practice in that way. That is your first item. Creative. C-R-E-A-T-I-V-E. Creative. You put that in, you get yourself a free 100. Now, everything else that you have here, units numbers 1 through 12, are study guides and other sorts of things to assist you on the exams. Academic contests, and we can go back to the facts, and hopefully it will cooperate and not go that slowly. There it is, and so I want to go all the way back up to here, and again, this is the second page of the facts. If you click on academic contests, the academic contests are essentially, let's see if it'll take, there it is, tests that you take. Now, some of the exams that you will take, if you wish to compete, are going to be exams that you are going to be taking during the week of convention, i.e. Thursday night before the convention. However, many of the exams are going to actually be given at the convention itself. What you do is you line up outside of the auditorium, you go in, and there are these what are called testing blocks. And those testing blocks, if they are listed here, up there it is, testing block 1, testing block 2, testing block 3, and those are the exams that are going to be given in those testing blocks. And you can look on the schedule to see when those testing blocks are. And so if we were quickly to scroll back up to the schedule, hopefully it won't take us that long. We'll go back to the scroll bar, and there it is. As you can see, these testing blocks, the first one is from 4:30, or I should say from 4 o'clock to 5:30 p.m. on Friday. You don't have to stay the full half hour or the hour and a half, as whenever you get done with your exams, and you should take all of them, then you simply just get up, go out, and go about your day doing whatever else that you would see that you would be interested in the actual schedule that is there. And so therefore, in those testing blocks, and the other testing blocks, and I'll go back to the academic contest, are going to be taken, as I said, online the night before the convention. And so that would be pre-convention digital testing, which are the reading comprehension, Greek culture and history, Greek dividends, and Latin grammar. Now, when it comes to the tests, if you wish to take them, and that's your second word, exam, E-X-A-M, exam is the second word that you are going to be putting in. Not all the exams are created equal. I put together at the end of 2018 a kind of guide of exams, and these exams, you should take them, especially seeing as that they are all digitally offered before the convention, Thursday night before, I think, again, but read in the facts exactly when they are. But there's no need to obviously prep for them, no need to study, because that's just essentially what you do every day in my class in Latin class. However, these exams that you see listed, and I have it here listed by level, are the ones that I have study guides for that can help you when it comes to the preparation for them. And I also rank them here as far as the relative ease to win an award if you prepare for them. And Latin literature I list first, classical art, Greek culture and history, all the way down to the toughest exam to win an award on is the classical mythology exam, because everybody loves mythology. Exams are usually 50 questions long, and what you see here is for each of the places, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and the score that achieved each of those places. And if it is highlighted, if it is lit up, that means it was an Eastside student that actually made that score. And so you can see in the past, or at least in 2018, these exams were the ones that Eastside won things on. So they were students who in that year used my study guides, studied them really, really well, and obviously parlayed them into winning awards that you can see that is right here. So, I'm going to deal with Latin literature last, but if we go back here, then what you can see is that then I have in each of these modules a particular exam that you can study for. The first two modules are for the Greek culture and history exam. And when I open them up to explain, what you see here is that you will have a PowerPoint. That PowerPoint is a corresponding guide that goes with an actual document that you see right here, Greek History Study Guide, DOCX, and they work with each other, giving you a visual and the actual study guide of the written words, walking you through Greek history and culture. Then what you see is a series of MP3s. These are recordings of me going through it. That way you could study by just popping something into your ears and obviously listening to them. So these are audio files. And then if you wanted to see how well you do on these content, I've actually made these 3 quizzes that you can see with the little jet airplane that is there, that you can obviously practice for as well. This NHCE study guide is also a supplemental study guide for the National Hellenic Civilization exam, which hopefully many of you will take next year in the spring, and I won't let it slip my mind like it had last time. This next module is going to be that of Greek literature, in which there's again a literature study guide, and it's not that long. I think it's like 8 to 12 pages, something like that, and then again MP3s walking you through it, and then a couple of quizzes. And so that is your third work. It's merely the word Greek, G-R-E-E-K. Greek, as it were. And that's a one that usually, especially if you're in Latin 1 and 2, people don't know Greek culture and history. And so you could use my study guides to really give yourself a leg up on that exam. The next exam is by far the most difficult. It is the Ancient Art exam. And again, what you have is a PowerPoint that you see right here, which is the PowerPoint of Ancient Art of Greece and Rome, walking you through all of those items. And then you have the MP3s of me walking you through the PowerPoint MP3 that takes you from the beginning of the PowerPoint through the Artemisium Zeus. The second one is the Artemisium Zeus through the Arch of Constantine, as you can read, etc., etc. You also have, because this one is unique, all the other exams are made by the classics department at UGA. This exam is made by a particular school that has been their kind of project for the last several years, is that you have the GJCL Art Exam blog, which is the blog of classical art that they have here, various different entries that you can almost guarantee these items are really going to be on the exam because they're coming directly from the people who make the exam instead of my study guide, which is still helpful. And then particularly, you can actually look at the previous exams all the way back to 2013. And so therefore, you see you have the images in which half the exam is going to be based on images that you then are looking at the image and answering the question on the test. And then of course you have the questions themselves that are then corresponding with them there. I say that really the classical art exam is one of the easiest exams on which you can win an award because, one, it's incredibly difficult, therefore not a lot of people take it. Back in 2018, only 10 people took it at level 1. And Eastside swept first place through 5th place. But look at the difference in the scores. The highest score was a 27 as opposed to a 41, 37, 44, 42, 36 out of 50. And so it is really, really tough, but we swept, did Eastside, both level 1, all 5 of the places that earn you points, and in level 2, all 5 of the places earn you points. Level 3, not as much. Level 4, not as much. But as you can see, level 1 and 2, we really did well on that one. So that is the ancient art that you can obviously study as well. The next unit is Roman history. And again, what we have is an actual document. And if you want to see the document, it is listed right here, in which I went through a 600-page book and reduced that 600 pages to 35 pages. And so therefore, 35 pages, you read it, you will know Roman history, you will know Roman history rather well. And so, also corresponding to the document, so that you can have visuals, there are 2 PowerPoints that I split the whole of Roman history up into 2 parts. You have, obviously, Roman history from the beginning, April 21st, 753 BC, through the beginning of what we term the Principate or the Empire, and then there is the other PowerPoint that's listed, which you can see is right here, and that is the Roman Empire from circa 27 BC, 31 BC, to the end of 476 or 535 AD, whichever one you wish to choose. And that's what you see with the 2 PowerPoints which are there. And then, again, these are MP3s of me walking you through it, as it were. To shout out a particular former student back in 2017, 2018-ish, I think it might have been 2017, Ethan Shu, did not come to any study sessions. We used to have, instead of Flex, a thing called Academics, and what I did is that in the second semester, I invited students who wanted to learn this stuff, and I went over it with them all, and he didn't come to any of it, yet he won first place, I think it was, in the Roman history one, simply because he had gone through my document PowerPoints and listened to my MP3s. You really do learn it well, if indeed you were to follow through. You then have Roman culture and daily life. And by the way, at this time, you can put in your 4th item. Your 4th item is Empire. E-M-P-I-R-E. Empire. And so put that in, and you're well on your way to getting that free 100. It's, again, nothing but a daily life supplement. That is the document. And then MP3s of me going through it. And then another document that is just the various terms that you'll find in the study guide. Another easy exam that you can obviously do well on, because the daily life Roman culture one, it's only 11 pages long. And some of it you will have obviously been familiar with already, like, for example, I thought I had seen it just a minute ago, but oh well, maybe I had not. But things like clothing that we have already talked about in class, and other sorts of items that we have come across. There it is, clothing as it were, but a little bit more involved in what we have in class in and of itself. If you're in Latin too, all of that should be rather familiar with you. And so in these sorts of ways, you can make sure that you are prepared and are able to do well. Ancient geography is just the study guide that is there, and when we look at it, obviously, what you can see is that it is based, all of these exams are based on particular books. And so when they first came out with the geography exam, circa around 2010-ish or so, I went through the book upon which it was based, and particularly the section of geography, which was 105 to 128 in that Handbook of Life in Ancient Rome, and so therefore I focus on each of these maps in a quasi-narrative style, just talking about this is what you see in this map, and this is why it is what it is, etc., etc. And so you have an opportunity to do well on it as well. Then you have Unit 10, Myth. As I've said before, Myth is one of the ones that is the most difficult. If you want to take a look at it, you can. However, it might be one that you want to focus on last, if you focus on it at all. Mottos, abbreviations, famous quotations, and the like. Essentially, this comes down to just sheer, unadulterated memorization, which of course all of it is, but this one you have to really try and come up with your own ways to try and remember which state motto is which state motto, and so it's mottos, familiar phrases, sorry about the copy quality, that is in Latin that you of course come across and see, and so forth and so on. So all of that obviously is there if you wish to study it and just sheer bulk memorization. And then finally we have Latin literature. Now I'm going to talk about it in just the next couple of minutes, in that Latin literature used to be the one that we did the best because I used to have this thing called Author of the Day. For whatever reason this year I'm a little overwhelmed, and we didn't do Author of the Day in Latin 1 and Latin 2 like we normally do, and so it usually had given my students an actual head, or I should say a leg up on the competition when we're there, but this year we don't. However, you still have my resources, and so these two modules are a bit more involved than all the others. The first one, you have the document, Latin Literature Guide 7, and then the MP3 of me quickly going through that Latin Literature Guide that is there, and it really is a masterpiece. You know Latin literature and know it well, and will win first place if you were to memorize that. And it's not that long. It's less than like 15 pages, something like that, and so it might seem like a lot, but it's not a 500-page book, which is what it is based on. And then what I've done is that there's another document where it says Roman and Greek authors by genre, and that way you can help start compartmentalize as to who these authors are and what they are. But then what you can see is that I have these proof videos. This is from last year, and so therefore the Author of the Day 1 proof video that you can see here, Author of the Day 2 proof video, Author of the Day 3 proof video, and then all the ones that say optional are various different proof videos in which I'm just walking you through that Latin Literature Guide 7. And so in that way, obviously, you can walk you through it if you learn better by me talking about stuff, by me pointing out stuff, by me drawing stuff. I particularly would recommend the Cicero's Speeches and Life proof video optional and Philosophy and Letters. Cicero is a large looming figure in, of course, not only Roman history but Latin literature, and in that way obviously it might behoove you to actually watch that one. And then the Unit 12, which is of course the beta of the alpha version, are the Latin literature quizzes that I had given out to previous years of Author of the Day. So here is a Kahoot over Caesar through Catullus. Here is the quiz over Latin literature, Author of the Day, and early Latin literature bonus, Cicero in his works quiz and bonus, Caesar through Catullus, and this is just going through the actual study guide chronologically. Or if you like playing Kahoots, I have some Kahoots that are made here as well. So all of this is available for you to obviously use at your disposal. I encourage you to. I hope that we are able to do well. As you can see, it is really on the backs of Latin 1 and 2 in previous years that we earn a whole bunch of points when it comes to the academics and those competitions like that, and the way by which we have won the convention cup, as it were. Your fifth and final item is going to simply be LIT, L-I-T, standing for that literature that you certainly have opportunity to do well, and I hope that you do. So, hopefully you've watched this and now have a better idea as to what to do with all of this stuff. One more thing I forgot to mention, and so there's going to be a sixth item. Don't you worry, there's going to be a sixth item, and that is, look at Unit 0. That takes you to the website of the GJCL, where the previous exams are all listed. And so, again, as we saw with the National Latin exam, if you want to know what's going to be on the exam in a particular year, look to see what the exams were like in a previous year. And so let's go to that Latin literature that we see there, and you just pick a random year, and let's go with 2012 for funs and giggles, blow it up a little bit more, and believe it or not, every single question that I see before me here, and I'm just looking over it really quickly, Every single one is in my study guide for Latin literature. It really, really is. And so you really have a good chance to do well in Latin literature, and you can see that borne out with how Latin 1 did. 41 is first place in Latin 1 Latin literature. You compare that to Latin 3, 46. You compare it to Latin 4, or 44. And why would a Latin 1 student be able to come up with a score in the 40s? It's because of my study guide. Look at Latin 2. That's a Latin 2 student with a 44. That's the same exact score as a Latin 4 student. And so my study guide on Latin literature especially does make the difference, but it really can make the difference for all of them. And so, again, look at that Unit 0, which are the previous exams that you see there. So your sixth and final item that you need to put in for the free 100 for watching this is simply the word study. S-T-U-D-Y. Study. You do that and you give yourself a chance to do well. Doesn't guarantee it, but you give yourself a chance to do well. So thanks for watching and happy studying.